Hi everyone, welcome to Technology World Hub. My name is Anil. So in this session, we are going to discuss top 20 SDET Selenium interview questions and answers. So let's start this. So first question. Selenium basics, let's say. These are the basics of Selenium. What is Selenium? Selenium is an open source automation testing framework used for testing web applications. It is supports multiple browsers, that is Chrome, Firefox, IE, Edge, and language like Java, Python, C Sharp, Ruby. Selenium has four main components. Selenium WebDriver, that is core automation tool for browser interactions. Selenium IDE, record and playback tool. Selenium Grid, parallel and remote execution. Selenium RC, legacy tool, rarely used now. Next question. Next question. What are the advantages of Selenium? It's open source and free, supports multiple browsers and operating systems, supports multiple programming languages, can be integrated with CI/CD tools like Jenkins, Maven, or Git, can handle dynamic web elements and multiple frameworks. Okay. Next question. What are the limitations of Selenium? Cannot automate desktop applications, cannot handle CAPTCHA, barcode, or OTP based authentication, requires programming knowledge, limited support for mobile testing, better with Appium. Next, let's discuss on Selenium WebDriver. What is WebDriver and how is it different from Selenium RC? WebDriver is the successor of Selenium RC. It directly interacts with the browser using native commands. Differences. Feature Selenium RC, Selenium WebDriver. Architecture, client server, direct browser interaction, speed, slower, faster, API, complex, simpler, support for dynamic elements, limited, better. Okay, so let's what I can do. This is okay. Let me arrange it properly so that I can. It will be more clear. Okay, so I can arrange till this. Okay, let's arrange this properly so that it will be easy to understand. Okay, so Selenium RC and Selenium WebDriver. Okay, 1 second. Yes. So then this one also it will go. Yes. this will go like here. Okay, and this one will go to here. And this will go to here. One second. One more. One second, guys. Just I'm arranging it. Okay. Yeah. So let's discuss one by one. I think should be fine. Let's proceed with that. Okay. Feature. So with respect to architecture, Selenium RC, it is client server architecture supports. And with respect to Selenium WebDriver, it is supports direct browser interaction. With respect to speed, Selenium RC is slower and Selenium WebDriver is faster. API, Selenium RC is complex, Selenium WebDriver is simpler. Support for dynamic elements, Selenium RC, that is limited support for dynamic elements, but for Selenium WebDriver, it is better support for dynamic elements. Okay, so next question. How do you handle dynamic elements in Selenium? Use dynamic XPath using contents starts with or ends with. Use CSS selectors with wildcards. Use explicit waits to wait for elements dynamically. Example, driver.findElement by.xpath / div, let's say contents id dynamic dot click. Okay, so here contents function, we use contents function. Difference between driver.findElement and driver.findElements. Method findElement returns the fast matching web element, throws no such element exception if not found. FindElements returns a list of matching web elements, returns empty list if none found. Next question. Difference between get and navigate.to. Get URL loads a new web page and waits for the page to load completely. Navigate.to URL loads the URL, but you can also move forward backward in browser history. Okay. Next question. What is the difference between implicit and explicit wait? Implicit wait is a global wait. Waits for a specified time for all elements. Explicit wait waits for a specific condition for a particular element. Example of explicit wait. It's a WebDriver wait is equal to new WebDriver wait driver comma duration dot of seconds 10 wait dot until expected conditions dot visibility of element located by dot id username. Okay, then Selenium locators. What are different locators in Selenium? ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text, XPath, that is absolute and relative, and CSS selector. These are the locators of Selenium. Difference between XPath and CSS selector. Syntax. XPath supports parent, ancestor. CSS syntax, no parent selection. Speed, XPath is slower, CSS selector is faster. Functions, XPath is more powerful, CSS selector is less powerful. Okay. Then handling alerts, frames and windows. How do you handle JavaScript alerts? Alert is equal to driver.switch2.alert. So first we need to switch to the alert, then we will perform the action. Like alert.accept, that is for OK. Alert.dismiss, that is for cancel. Alert.getText, for get alert text. And alert.send keys of text. Send input to prompt alert. Okay. How do you switch between frames? Driver.switch2.frame of 0, that is by index. Driver.switch2.frame, frame name, by name or ID. Driver.switch2.frame, web element, by web element. Driver.switch2.default content, switch back to main page. Next question. How do you handle multiple browser windows? String main window is equal to driver.getWindowHandle. Set of string all windows, that is driver.getWindowHandles. It will return set of strings. Set of strings of all window. Driver.getWindowHandle will return main window, that is string main window. Driver.getWindowHandles return set of string for all windows. Then we will take a for loop for string window colon all windows. If window dot equals main window, if not, if window dot equals main window not, that is if it is not main window, then driver dot switch to dot window, where we pass the window. Perform actions, driver dot close. It's any action we can perform. That's how we can handle multiple browser windows. Driver dot switch to dot window, main window. Then we can navigate to main window. Advanced Selenium SDET questions. What is page object model? Page object model is a design pattern where web pages are represented as classes and page elements are variables with methods to interact with them. Benefits: improves code readability and maintainability, reduces duplication, easier to scale. Example, let's say public class login page, WebDriver driver, by.username is equal to by.id username, by password is equal to by.id password, by login button, by.id login, public login page, WebDriver driver, this dot driver is equal to driver, public void login, string user, string pass, driver dot find element, username dot send keys user, driver dot find element, password dot send keys pass, driver dot find element, login button dot click. How do you handle file upload in Selenium? Using send keys if the input type is file. It is driver dot find element by dot id of upload dot send keys and path of the file. Using robot class for OS level dialog interactions. How do we handle Ajax calls in Selenium? Use explicit wait with expected conditions to wait until elements are loaded. Example, WebDriver wait is equal to new WebDriver wait, driver duration dot of second 10, wait that until expected conditions dot visibility of element located by dot id Ajax element. Okay, that's how we can handle the dynamic elements. Difference between assert and soft assert in test ng. Behavior. So assert, it stops execution if assertion fails. Soft assert continues execution even if assertion fails. Usage assert equals a comma b. Soft assert, soft is equal to new soft assert. Soft.assert equals a comma b. Soft.assert all. Okay. Next question. How do you handle dynamic tables in Selenium? Identify table rows and columns dynamically using XPath or CSS selectors. Iterate over rows and columns to find required data. Let's say driver.find elements by.xpath /table @id is equal to table /tbody/tr. Okay, it will return the rows, all the rows of the table, and it will be a list of web element. Then we will iterate for web element row colon rows system.out.println row.getText. So we will get all the text of the row or all the rows. Okay, like that. Next question. How do you integrate Selenium with Maven, Jenkins or TestNG? Maven manages dependencies and runs tests via MVN test. TestNG organize test cases, use annotations @test @before method, and generate reports. Jenkins schedule automated test execution in CI/CD pipeline. Next question. How do you handle stale element reference exception? Stale element reference exception occurs when the element is no longer attached to DOM. What is the solution? Relocate the element before action. Use explicit wait to wait until element is present. That is WebDriver. Let's say web element is equal to driver.find element by.id. It's a dynamic element. New WebDriver wait driver duration dot of second, let's say 10 dot until expected conditions dot staleness of element. Okay, this is the condition we need to put. Okay, so that's it guys for this series. Please like it, subscribe it, share with your friends and family. I will come up the next series. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Thank you so much guys.